welcome to all who are here. And for some, it's a very early morning. And for some, it's the afternoon. And perhaps you're connecting via the recording. And then welcome to you too, who connects after fact. So we're really reaching across time zones and even space here. My name is Hildur Pálsdóttir, and I'm a member of the Natural Dharma Fellowship and practitioner in the Marga program. And I will just start with a brief introduction, and then we'll do a very short tech talk and give the word to Lama Willa. Does that sound good? And as a climate activist and a Buddhist, it's really been a dream come true for me to work on designing this series with Lama Willa, Lama Elizabeth Munson, and Sarah Buey. And they're all here this morning. On behalf of all of us, I welcome you to the first of this year's monthly Dharma Dialogues. In this year-long series titled Ecosattvas in the Anthropocene, we will introduce the evolution of Buddhism to meet this moment in the practice of eco-dharma. The term Anthropocene describes the geologic period during which human activity has been the dominant influence on climate and the environment. We have indeed, with our behaviors, changed, and we continue to alter the environment and climate with our activities. We've left a lasting imprint in the geologic record, and with habitat destruction and pollution from modern lifestyle, we've caused not just climate disruption, but an ecological breakdown. The climate and biodiversity crisis are indeed the direct results of a spiritual malady. We're experiencing the results of perhaps a moral and ethical bankruptcy. The dominant culture with technological advancement has, in the search for comfort, lost the vital connections to the natural world and facilitated even abuse of our non-human relatives. And this, I believe, is where Buddhism can help, with re-establishing right view and supporting right conduct. And this includes a sense of interconnectedness with all beings in the ecosystem, or interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh calls it. Blessed be his memory. In this series, we will explore Buddhist responses to the climate and ecological crisis. We'll address questions such as, how do we respond appropriately? How will we conduct ourselves in a changing climate? And address concerns such as eco-anxiety, how to live well in difficult situations. It is time for engaged Buddhists to contribute to social and environmental justice. And this is why we're here. I'm pleased to introduce our dear Lama Willa, who will be conversing with the founding luminary of the Eco-Dharma, our beloved benefactor, Joanna Macy. Lama Willa is a Natural Dharma Fellowship's founding teacher and spiritual co-director. She was authorized as a Dharma teacher and lineage holder in the Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism after 12 years of monastic training and 2 consecutive 3-year retreats. She has also trained in the Nyingma and Shangpa lineages. In 2013, Willa completed a doctorate at Harvard University and was visiting lecturer in Buddhist ministry. Lama Willa is the author of several books and has written numerous articles in respectable publications. If you'd like to get to know her better, we'll put the link in with her full bio in the chat. And so with no further ado, we can move over to a very brief tech talk. If you have the slides, Kim. And the most important thing to note is that this is being recorded. So if you already have okayed it, your participation here today will be recorded, and we cannot edit out after the fact what is said here. So if you want your contribution to be anonymous, you can reach out to us in the chat. We will have a conversation separate, and then there is going to be an interactive part with the Sangha. So if we could spotlight Lama Willa and Joanna Macy, we can just get into the Dharma Dialogues if you If you're having problems bringing up the slides, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Welcome.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Welcome, and welcome everyone to the Dharma Dialogues, and welcome also Joanna. I have the great honor of being able to introduce our first guest on the Dialogues, Joanna Macy. Before I do that, just to say a couple of things about these dialogues, which we have been having for the last year during the pandemic. Last year, we focused on the role of women in Buddhism, and also the patriarchy and how women have navigated that over the years. We focused on that last year, and the Dharma that was our first year of Dharma Dialogues, a monthly series. And it was very successful and just so much fun to connect with all of these amazing teachers and to explore how the Dharma emerges from conversation. That conversation is in itself a kind of a way of transmission. And so the relational field. So this year we wanted to continue in the same way, and are focusing on the Buddhist responses to climate change. And we've called this series Ecosattvas in the Anthropocene. And this, of course, has been a concern and interest of mine and of Natural Dharma Fellowship's curriculum from the beginning of its existence, how to raise awareness around the climate crisis. We've had a number of Eco-Dharma conferences at Wonderwell in the early days, and also have an ongoing practice of meditating and practicing in the wild as a way of enacting the reconnecting to the natural world and to our bodies and to our consciousness that is needed to do the work on behalf of the planet. So we'll be exploring that all year together, and just to see all of you showing up here to be present for that is such an inspiration. Just to see how many of you have come to be present to that conversation. It is so critical right now in our world that we lean in, that we lean towards this issue. So I'm so delighted to be able to introduce our first guest, Joanna Macy, who has been a pillar of inspiration, a luminary in this field, a pioneer who has really, with her, from the very beginning of her work in graduate school, begun to weave together these threads of contemplative thought with the challenge that we're facing with climate change and the degradation of the environment, and seeing the potential early on for melding a perspective of activism, acting on behalf of the planet, and our contemplative practice. Joanna has long been an inspiration to me. When we first started talking about the guests to invite to this series, immediately all of us said, first guest, Joanna Macy must be, if we could possibly ask Joanna Macy to come. So I can't believe you're here, Joanna. And just to see your face on the screen is so inspiring to me. And thank you for coming.
Yes, what a pleasure it is to join you. And I love here the scope of your inquiry and the depth of it at this particular moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to just quickly here talk a little bit about you, Joanna. Just a quick for bio, for the purposes of introducing you to this audience here this morning. Joanna Macy is an environmental activist. She's an author. She's a scholar of Buddhism, general systems theory, and deep ecology. And she's also the author of 12 books. Joanna Macy graduated from Wellesley College in 1950 and received her PhD in religious studies in 1978 from Syracuse University in Syracuse. Her doctoral work, under the mentorship of Irvin Laszlo, focused on convergences between causation and systems thinking and the Buddhist central doctrine of mutual causality or interdependent co-arising. Joanna lives in Berkeley. She has been a spokesperson for peace, justice, and environmentalism for her whole life. And is most renowned for her book, Coming Back to Life, Practices to Reconnect Our Lives, Our World, and the Great Turning Initiative. Joanna has been an inspiration to many of us, all of us in the Buddhist world who have been interested in bringing together this conversation. Just to say that I first met Joanna through a class, actually, reached out to you through a mutual friend who's probably here today, and invited her to beam in virtually to a class at Harvard Divinity School during this short period of time when I was working there as a lecturer in Buddhist ministry, and was teaching a class on climate change or climate justice Buddhism and reading close Buddhist sources. And she came into our class, and just the students were so delighted to see you there, Joanna. So that's where I first met you, just to give a little context. And
I remember that very well.
Yes. So, Joanna, we were just talking before everyone got on the call, or just reflecting on the passing of Thich Nhat Hanh a little bit. And I know he was a real influence in your life. So I wonder if you could share with us a little bit about that. He was a Zen master, a very well-trained monk. He was a peace activist, and then he really turned his attention to the climate and to bringing together activism and Buddhism. Could you tell us a bit about your relationship with Thich Nhat Hanh?
Yes, I would love to. He has been a very important figure in my life since the 1960s, although I did not meet him until 40 years ago this year at the United Nations session on nuclear disarmament in 80. I mean, excuse me. 82, right? It was amazing. And in my senior year at Wellesley, I did a thesis on the war in Vietnam that France was leading to. The Vietnamese had expected that they promised independence if the Japanese in the Second World War, and France wanted to reassert and reweave its colonial empire, which was vast and was then in war with the people of Vietnam to reestablish its colonial power. And was fascinated by this since my entire elementary and secondary education had been in French at a Lycée Français de New York, as a matter of fact. But at any rate, I had been impressed by the French colonial empire and then became fascinated by Ho Chi Minh, this amazing cultivated poet, many things in common actually with Thai. So, and then as we got to and time to get one particularly occasion when he was looking for another word for empty. It had been in the Zen world and in the Buddhist world, as you all know very well, the what you seek for in the liberated self, recognizing that there is no permanent separate self. The term shunya, or empty, there were many other words too, like full and abundant, but empty. Okay, he was doing this in his teaching that week, and it was a small group of us, and what word would do it? Interdependence, this creative convergence in every moment of consciousness, depending on its focus, that you could bring in the vitality of this interaction, and this be certainly much more designed for most people empty and seemed quite full. And as a matter of fact, in the early texts, as I'd become aware, was puna, or full, was used, and also frequently. And so the experimenting in his teaching, in Thai's teaching, Thai, as you know, is what all his students and followers on, which means, and I must say, on that week, he was trying out many words, but interbeing hadn't yet surfaced, and it did shortly after that. But it was breathtaking, and I was myself been seeing the nature of this, both an experience and a existential reality of the self being a kind of place, or on the one hand, also a stream of experiences that are all mutually conditioning. And as Lama Willa said, that was my this PhD was on, doctoral work was on that. So I was excited by incredible freedom of this monk's mind, a freedom that announced itself in every minute of conversation, with every question that was asked. There would be this pause where you would go back to ground zero, sort of, or there where of the utter richness of reality, so that what you're about to say isn't conditioned by what you but just been saying, but then fullness could to our experience of fullness of actually being here. This amazing that each one of us, I don't know how many we are in this conversation, are hearing voices, but we are being conditioned by our knowledge of you listening. We're being conditioned, affected by the things that have been happening in our lives right up to the last minute and back to the cradle. And this convergence at this moment, and here we are on this Zoom, on the next to last day of January, partway through this epical decade of the 2020s, when we have this decade to get some balance and reduce in the atmosphere of our planet, and to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. This is our moment, this decade. And to come back to that, just the way every time Thich Nhat Hanh would be asked a question, I thought there would be this little pause where you could feel him, sense him coming back to this ground zero. So the fullness of the totality of all that's happening, for all that we know, for planet Earth and for this universe at this moment. And that we can free ourselves in a way in every moment by seeing the context. Our context can actually liberate us once it is to mind, humbly and joyfully. I have to follow that, but I'm just going to pause from, because I just some that are new to me too. That's what happens, see?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing just your experience of Thich Nhat Hanh, who was such an extraordinary being. And I feel like even though I didn't meet him, and many people here didn't meet him in the flesh, we met him just now through your experience and through the description of how he was, how he paused, came back to ground zero, and spoke from this place of connecting to the interbeing in his own self as he embodied it in that moment. And just thank you for bringing the word interbeing into the beginning of this series, because it is such a critical piece of what can save us. The only thing that can save us is that recognition, right?
His determination to find a concept, a speakable concept, to bring us to that. Every moment is a moment of coming to be. And we can come to be is our choice. We always have a choice there. And we come to be in a way, you could say, in widening circles, with a greater understanding, greater vulnerability, allowing ourselves to be subject, to allowing ourselves to be affected, put back together. And the time that I first, because I'd been very affected by him since my work on, though I didn't know him when I graduated from Wellesley College my senior year, was a thesis on Vietnam. And but then when I heard about what he was doing in the 1960s and read about it, and when Jim Forrest of the Fellowship of Reconciliation escorted this young monk around the country that was trying to swallow up and making war in his country, it was an amazing experience to read his poems, to hear of his words. But then, I'd have to tell you this. At the United Nations, that was in 1982, there was a special session on nuclear disarmament. and it generated a march of 1 million people from the United Nations to Central Park. And it was preceded by, it changed, it was like a high point of absolutely every person of those million. And there was so much hope. But before that, there was this meeting of the religious potentates, of important people. And of course, they were considered important because they were organizing this meeting about the religious right before. And there they were. There was a big hall, and they would come forward in their robes and out to the microphone and speak. And boy, did they look, particularly the abbot of the Zen Center in San Francisco, who was a very tall and striking man, and robes. And then the last person was turned to look, and there from the sidelines comes this, who he looked quite small in a brown robe, and just the contrast to everyone else who was manifesting the power of their office and importance. And here's this little guy walking out quietly in this brown coat and reaches into his pocket and pulls out a piece of paper. And he said, well, all I have is a poem I wrote on the way. And he unfolds it and then says, please call me by my true names. And then followed, I wish I had it right here to give you the first sentence, but I am being born and dying in each moment is the gist of it. Exquisite. And all the pieces, the names and the people that he co-arise with him. Just reading that poem, I'm sorry I don't have it, but at any
Well,
rate.
we can bring it up. No worries, Joanna. Hilder or Victoria, one of our hosts, can find it. Call me by my true names. You can put it in the chat. Such a beautiful poem about interdependence and compassion. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for bringing that. Joanna, I wonder if I could ask you, and we'll also bring up his picture a little bit later, just so people can see his face. He's such a beautiful, beautiful master and a pioneer also in the Eco-Dharma movement. Joanna, how did your journey begin? How were you drawn to this work, to bring into conversation the perspectives, the ideas of Buddhism and activism on behalf of the planet? What was it that drew you to that?
I was so blessed, my gosh, to think of it. But it was overseas. I was, my young family back in the 60s was living in India. And it was shortly after the flood of refugees from Tibet had poured up and over the high snowfields and peaks of the Himalayas, seeking refuge from the Chinese occupation of Tibet that had turned very oppressive, and particularly of the practice of the Buddha Dharma there. So among the refugees were many monks and lamas, and there was actually a group that had come a year before, all the way from eastern Tibet, and the only group of the entire emigration that contained yogis. And this was Kargyu, a community of the Red Hats and had come with lay people as well as monks and yogis and lamas, and they were in danger of being separated all the time because India responding to this flood of people seeking refuge in their land, and they were also turned sick almost immediately because of they had no immunity to the diseases of the plains, and I think I'm very grateful to Jawaharlal Nehru, the prime minister at the time, and the Indians for their care, and basic respect and care. But there was a lot of suffering. They didn't know what to do, and at any rate, I found myself drawn to them. I just and met them as they were squatting on a tea estate on New Year's Day, Losar, 1965, and as the long horn sounded, that eerie, beautiful sound, as I made my way to an encampment of tents and a monastery with grandeur, but was in poverty and chanting, yes, and so my life became changed for that moment, because there was a sense of this meant to be completing. It was as if my life needed one more piece of the puzzle, or maybe many more, but here was one, and it fit exactly into a place in me that was waiting for it. And so I just tried the best I could to help them when I could leave my family in Delhi and journey up to the foothills and seeking help, getting connections, helping them plan along with a Peace Corps volunteer who was that. And so this was the most exquisite way to enter the Buddhist community that I could see. It's this wild, colorful, because even though they were suffering and sick, they danced and they patched together great robes, and there was such majesty and art and mystery that they carried with great dignity, and that soon later I decided I needed instruction, but I saw that the lamas that and Rinpoches that I was working with and helping and hanging out with, that they were too busy, too tired, too sick. And so I certainly didn't want to ask them, even though hippie overlanders would come through and want to sit down and ask them for instant enlightenment in this colorful. At any rate, I had come to know a remarkable woman who will become better known, Frida Beatty. But she is became, she's of the Raj, of the British. She had become married a Sikh and fought for the independence of India, was jailed with Gandhi, and just a totally amazing woman. There's a book out about her, and she loved me, and she took me in hand to tell me to open the mysteries of the Buddha Dharma beyond the sheer fact of these wildly and spiritually adventurous Tibetans. And she did it, Lama Willa, by deciding that I was to follow her experience with the Dharma, or maybe the nature which had begun with Mahasi Sayadaw in Burma. And so I would begin with the Theravada, and and she instructed me all the way up. It was she who brought His Holiness. In my 90s, I keep my words slip me, but he was the head of the most ancient lineage in Tibet, along with the redheads. Anyway.
Maybe Chatral, Rinpoche, Chatral, maybe.
No, it was.
Dujum.
What?
Dujum?
Not the Nyingma, the Karkyu.
Oh, the Kagyu. Oh, the Karmapa.
Karmapa! Ta-dam! That's it. Yeah. And at any rate, she founded, went into the refugee camps and found the young Rinpoche, the young tulkus, the reincarnated lamas, the ones who were sort of would carry. She had this vision that the lama, the Dharma would be carried to the West with these tulkus, and she made a school in India, high above in not above, in Dalhousie, at the young lamas' home school. And there, so many of those who've brought Tibetan Buddhism to the States were there, schooled us in their teens, and then came to, and she was particularly close to the Trungpa, Chogyam Trungpa, and sent him to Oxford, where she had gone, and he created the first Tibetan monastery in the West, in Scotland, and then came to the States, as many did.
Yeah, Frida, amazing. So let me ask a bit about thank you, Joanna, for sharing that. It's so poignant, and it just brings my senses to that early period in India, and I can hear the horns. I can, I've been there too, spent so much time in Asia with the Tibetans, and I just feel it. I feel your love for them, and I also fell in love with that community too. And then recently, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, that the Dharma for me it has become moved like a river, and has been deeply impacted not only by the basic teachings of the early Dharma, of the mutual causality interbeing, though we didn't have the word interbeing then. The I'm sorry, you know, I'm 92 and a half and 3/4, and though I get so much in my way, sometimes I am stopped. So thank you for your patience with me.
Oh, no. I'm experiencing your stop like you experienced Thich Nhat Hanh's stop. It's all good.
But I wanted to say that, that's what, this is so important. The essential teaching that was the fruit of my scholarship when I went back in my 40s to graduate school, and a wonderful department of religious department in Syracuse University. It was, at that moment, it was perfect for that. But I am very much influenced by the scholars from around the country and around the world, was the sense of awakening to, and Gaia theory played a part, a very important part of that, but that the earth herself as a field of Dharma, the living earth that with this incredible dance of interactivity, this generosity of creativity that characterizes our larger body, and that paticca samuppada, the dependent co-arising, and the Gaia theory and systems theory brought in our time in a way that when we have the science, the incredible science, astrophysics, the whole thing that we can see with that core teaching of the Lord Buddha, we can see our belonging, our mutual belonging, our emergence. It is so, we are so lucky to be born at this time, and having with the Dharma can see how that our mutual belonging in every instant, and the validity and power of the earliest Buddhist teachings are in that.
Joanna, you've been talking lately. Your latest book has this theme of active hope.
Oh.
Active hope. And I think many of us struggle with keeping our optimism in the face of the challenges that the planet is facing, and just in the face of the science. And I wondered if you could talk a bit about this concept of active hope. For me, when I met you, what really shone through and is shining through now is your gratitude and your optimism. And I wondered where you find the well of energy that you have to look forward in this way. And could you tell us a bit about active hope and how we can balance that with the realities of what we're seeing and the coming out of the world of science, and the sense of urgency that we feel to do something before our planet has gone too far?
Well, active hope is, as my co-author Chris Johnstone of Northern Scotland define it, is defined by intention. What do you want to give your life for? What do you want to give your attention and the work of your heart and minds and hands for? What are you so grateful that you're here and able to do? And even if you're not sure you're able to do it, the fact that you intend that it come to be changes the circumstances. So it is not what you think will happen so much as what you want to have happen. It's your intention, it's what you see as this could happen now, this could be, and this I will take this step and this step. But it's not the only thing, Lama Willa. I am not optimistic. I'm happy. I'm not optimistic. I don't think that I've been promised a bed of roses, but that I'm thrilled to be alive. We were never promised the rose garden, but to think that we could be brought to be in this, out of this earth, of this wondrous interwoven fabric of exquisite, minute by minute dance of life, of whether you're looking at it as an artist, a dancer, or a scientist. But there's also at the same time a grief. And this is what I love Thich Nhat Hanh for. I remember when he was asked one day, what is the most important thing that we should do for the earth, to bring to pass for the earth? What is the most important thing? And I listened with bated breath, because I was thinking, is he going to say we should run for office, run for city council, or we should sit on the zafu longer and longer and get, what's he going to say? And what he said was, see if you can hear the sounds of the earth crying. Let the earth listen, so don't be afraid of the grief. Darlings, your pain for the world is just the other side of your love for life. And your pain for the world, this love that it's beautiful and it's wet and it's creative, and it can hold you. And your tears are beautiful. They demonstrate that you belong here, that you have work to do, that you have a hot beating heart that is creative. And you listen to the grief, you listen to your heart, and you come alive more and you have new ideas. So we mustn't polarize the laughter and tears. They go together.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Joanna,
There's another book. I just want you to know.
Go ahead.
There are two more books. This book, World is Lover, World is Self, a 30th anniversary edition. It first came out in 1991, and then in the early 22nd millennium, and then just this last year. It came out in June. And then another one is coming out, a new edition of Active Hope, because we wanted one, my co-author and I. It's coming out in June. And if you like to have, it is so fine for this moment. It's got a rapid unraveling of the fabric of life, and yet how much more we can do in this time. And I don't think that just that we'll be talking about the end of capitalism, and we were talking about the collapse of natural what the price of the climate change. But it's not the end. There'll be a lot of suffering. And you all know how much that suffering comes from our choices, particularly when we try to make a profit out of the planet and out of everything that is under our industrial growth model. And how freeing ourselves from that brings so much more understanding and high hearts and motivation. It'll be the end of capitalism will be really messy, as it already is. But this is the price we have to pay for what it has done to the planet. And we start right now working together to do everything we can in terms of mutual aid, mutual thinking together, mutual creativity, patience, and gratitude for the least little thing, and a great strong will that we will not turn on each other. The work I do that began, and it's called the work that reconnects, this group work, that when I brought the first workshop, demonstrated, I'd written about it, but I led it on my way back from field work in Sri Lanka. And I remember, so I did a workshop. It was right in California on my way home to where I lived, and in Washington, D.C. And a social activist who was a very imposing and experienced and wonderful person took me for a walk in San Francisco before I headed home. At the end of the workshop, she said, Joanna, and everything we did was influenced by my experience of the Buddha Dharma in that workshop. But I didn't call it that. I based it a lot on science, and I would always identify it now. Here's something based on the Buddhist teachings of the four immeasurables. And then, so because the Buddha Dharma is so good for this moment in time. But at any rate, she said, why are you doing this work? And I was about to say, well, obviously I'm doing it so that we can be better prepared for social, environmental action in our world. But the words that came out, Willa, the words that came out were right from my solar plexus. I'm doing this work so that when things fall apart, we won't turn on each other.
That is so needed, that message now. Yeah, yeah. The compassion. Yeah.
The patience. Mm-hmm. The enlightened self-interest. Mm-hmm. The gratitude. Mm-hmm. We begin the work always with gratitude. Mm-hmm. There's so much. I'm so grateful to be here now. Mm-hmm. I would have thought, my gosh, I would never have dawned. Who could have imagined? Everything. And you can say, well, we can be here with all our heart, mind, and senses and caring.
We can show up. We're so lucky. Yeah. So we need to take a little break for the bodies of all of our listeners and for us to stretch and move a little bit. And we will be back at, so your guys' time, that would be about 9:07. So 9:07, let's take 10 minutes, 10-minute break. All right. So we're coming back, everyone. So let's just take a quick moment to see each other. So I'm just going to open up the gallery view for a moment, just to, and you can do that yourself by going up to the upper right-hand corner, just to take a moment and see who's here. We've got over 100 Ecosattvas joining us this morning. I see so many familiar faces, some of you new to me. Welcome, welcome. And believe it or not, over the course of this year, we'll get to know each other a bit just through communing visually and also through questions that we ask questions on. Yeah, good to see you. So great to see everybody's faces. Welcome, welcome. So we'd like to take questions. This is our moment for Q&A. For those of you out there who want to ask Joanna a question, just feel free to raise your hand. You can do that by scrolling to the bottom of your screen. You'll see the raise hand button. You can press that. Or you can also type your question into the chat, and we'll take the questions from there as well. And Hildur, I see you're raising your hand. Why don't you go ahead?
Yes, I'll make sure to be very, very brief so that I don't take any time away from anyone. But it is really my pleasure to give the Dana talk today with a heart filled with gratitude. And it really changed my life, your work, Joanna Macy. It was a dark and desperate time actually in my life when I came across active hope as a concept and read that book, and it was transformational, really, and just honoring the pain as we go forth. Thank you. And I'll put the link for Dana if you're here, and we accept any amount at the Natural Dharma Fellowship to support the good work here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hildur. Thanks. And I see Diana's here. Diana, hi.
Hi. So Joanna, I just want to say I am such a deep fan of you and your work, as everyone I'm sure on this call is. You and I had one encounter, and I want to remind you, I'm sure you don't remember. I was president.
Do.
You do?
Yes.
At Brookline High School.
When you were still the president at Wellesley.
You do
And I was so excited and honored.
And I said, I need, when I've stopped being president, I must connect with you and your work. This is what I need. And you said, you really will need it when you're finished being president of Wellesley. So I'm just so grateful to be here with you. Your words mean so much. I've been involved with the Council on the Uncertain Human Future. I'm sure you've been hearing about that too. Will is involved. And we've been doing work that's very much inspired by all that you've done through your amazing life. So just great gratitude and love to you from Wellesley.
Oh, thank you so much. And I would love to, if there's some way that you could send me some description of what you're doing.
Sure.
I would appreciate that very much.
Very good. I shall.
Yeah. And everybody here has my email.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you here, Diana. Welcome to the conversation. And Tom, I see you got your hand up.
Thank you, Lama Willa. And this is such an amazing opportunity Joanna, to listen to you. I listened to as many of your talks as I can. I had a small engaged Buddhism group here on Cape Cod that we used Active Hope, your original edition, as one of the tools for working on projects, using the Dharma as our lens of ethics. And but I want to talk to you about, I have a son who is a millennial, and I don't know if I heard. I was walking with him and his partner, and they that age group, and they have a sort of sense of dread about them, that they know what is coming, and I really am trying to find a way to get through to them this not optimism, as you said, but the joy. Um, and the duality of the grief and the joy. I'm trying to get this message across. And I don't know if I heard this phrase come from you, but I mentioned it to him and his partner. And I said to him, as we were walking outdoors, I said, the world is, we're waiting for something to be born. There's something about to emerge that's bigger. And all of the bad things that are happening are distractions to keep this thing that's about to be born safe. And they immediately related to that there was something else that was bigger, that was better, that was coming. And I don't know if that phrase, something's waiting to emerge or something's waiting to be born, I don't know if that phrase came from you, Joanna, but
No, I don't recognize it.
okay.
But I'm ready. Maybe I'm ready to be surprised. I think something will manifest
Right.
because of what the heart mind is, and that if we just open to our experience, then what's there begins to unfold, and not to judge. Clearly, it's going to be, we're going to see things that are going to disappear. Certainly, there are comforts that will be hard to restore and find, and we'll be getting used to losses. So, realistic about that, certainly. But the things that are lost are not all bad. There is a lot that is perverted, our vision of ourselves and each other. Things might simplify in a sense that, yeah, I see you coming around the corner, I might be afraid of you, but you may be a gift to me. And so this future, so maybe we could, Tom, maybe I bet you could think of positive ways of thinking that what the unknown can bring.
Right. And that's the message that I think needs to be put across to the younger people who are really carrying the burden of what's to come. And I explain that, yes, there's going to be sorrow and suffering, but something greater is beyond that, because we're not going to kill Gaia. The earth will go on, and there are simpler ways of living. And I don't want to take too much time, but yes, that's exactly it. I'm so sad that Thich Nhat Hanh has left. Well, he hasn't really left, but his teachings are all there. But he was such a light to young people in this movement. But we do need someone to communicate to those young people who has some stature and some ability there to get this message across. That it could be better, simpler could be a lot better.
That's right. There's a disease of the mind that we're subjected to, that here we are threatening war on an ancient noble culture with all our all our nuclear weapons. There's deep sickness in our culture that we can witness in our own society, in our militarism, in our carceral system. We are deeply mentally and heart-wise ill. And so there can be in hardship just a kind of cleansing of the tears. Going back to what Ty said. And letting each moment, just get into the moment. Stop fantasizing about what you think will happen. Just be in the moment. In the moment, we're scared shitless. Right. In the moment, we can eat an apple. In a moment, we can fall in love.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Tom. You're brave, man. It's a good thing you're a dad.
Thank you. Hey, Jeff. Jeff is the one who brought us together. Jeff.
Oh, really?
Yes, he did, initially. Hey, Jeff, you have to unmute.
Okay. Hold a second. I got to change my view back to. Oh, Joanna, I just wanted to say I love you and I think of you all the time, and so grateful that my path crossed with you such a long time ago and so strongly, and I carry you with me all the time. So
wonderful to see your face.
It's been quite a while, yeah. So I mean, I could spend hours talking with you, but so it's hard to come up with the one thing I want to squeeze in here. But one thought I had just a moment ago was, I wonder if you have had any contact with Gabor Mate.
With what?
Gabor Mate.
Oh, yes. No,
yes.
But no, I don't. But I just see that incredible face of his and see that incredible work he's doing. I am awed, and it's one of the things that makes me the most hopeful, if I can use the word.
Yeah.
That people are, it takes courage to hear him.
Yeah.
People are manifesting so much moral strength. He's like, they're willing. It takes moral strength to see how the depth of suffering that you've created and are in.
Yeah. I just watched I've watched many videos of his as well as and many of yours as I can find too. And but recently I saw one. It was called the Power of Addiction and the Addiction to Power, and he ties those two things together in a really beautiful way. And really, the Buddha Dharma fits right in there, because he talks about, well, you were just talking about the mental illness of our society, the sickness in our society, and he diagnoses it with so much compassion in that 15-minute talk. So I wanted to mention it, to recommend it to folks. Yeah.
Could you send me a list of some of his?
I'd love to.
I'm Joanna at joannamacy.net. Yes, I have a feelings it's bordering on reverence for Gabor Mate.
Yeah, and I'd love to see you guys in dialogue together. Yeah, and but if I may just say one more thing about so my activism of recent years has been really, I put a lot of energy into Extinction Rebellion, which I was so ecstatic to see arise in the UK with the power that it did, and tried to be, was hoping that to happen here in the US, but it hasn't really come together. And yet, at least in the way that I would like. But so the role of nonviolent civil disobedience in activism these days, I still think of it as central, and you know, one prong of what would be really most useful. And you have any thoughts about that these days as fitting this moment?
Yes. Yeah. I missed that last thing. What was the very last thing you
I
said?
said, did you have any thoughts about that and its application in this moment that we're in now? It's nonviolent civil disobedience.
Oh,
Yeah, the importance of it. And I know it's only one prong of what we, you know, where we can be active, but yeah.
right. The beauty of it. I was quite struck by, but I won't refer to something unless I know I can remember the name. No, but I'll write it to you. Yeah, but yes, of course, it goes along with not turning on each other. We cannot indulge in treating each other trivially. We have a practice in the work that when I see somebody in a stranger in an idle moment, it could be somebody driving a truck, stopping at the same red light, and I look up at it, or any, you know, somebody in an elevator who looks weird or something and the thought that little spiritual practice is, this may be the person I am with when I die. Well, we're all people we're with when we die.
So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Joanna.
Great to see you.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Elise, I see you there. Have your hand up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joanna, for the continued teachings you bring to us. And I was so moved by the last thing you said right before our break. I'm doing this work so when things fall apart, we won't turn on each other. And I could see many people's faces, how that hit them so hard. And we just did a retreat here where our teacher, Lama Liz Monson, really talked about how important that is. And what hit me and sort of jarred me was thinking about how just trying to deal with the pandemic, we here are not turning on each other, but we as a society in America are doing that. And that sort of, how do we bring our presence of being with other people to create a change that we'd like to see? Because that's,
Yeah.
we can be what we are, but how does that force go out?
Yeah. Well, there's some beautiful things, you know, that I started getting, for example, astonished and horrified by our country's practice of sanctions, and that there are 30 countries where it's really it's horrifying how ready we are to hurt people, that we and some of the countries during a pandemic, we have been applying sanctions, and what they do is that they make it hard for people to get goods, get the money. It freezes sometimes their own money, and they what it hurts is it hurts their health system. That we could apparently with casually almost apply sanctions that will cause many, many more to die in the pandemic because of a little country, whether it's Venezuela or Cuba or, well, Cuba is so smart, but at any rate, they and certainly Russia and certainly Afghanistan was suffering from a famine, and we have a sanction that makes it harder for people to get help into them, so that it's beautiful to see. That's what I want to say, is that is being organized now. There are groups forming. One is called Sanctions Kill. And so that if you're not afraid of the pain of seeing this, what could hurt more than seeing your own country act this way? So if you're not afraid of the pain, if you're not afraid of the tears, and if you know that the pain and the tears are because your heart's big enough to love, you know that. It's the pain, they're the tears of the Bodhisattva. They're the tears of the Bodhicitta. And they kind of wet your whistle, you can. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm sure it's close to what we were talking about, Gabor Mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can take one more. Lisa.
Thank you so much. What an honor and a privilege to have you here speaking to us, Joanna. I'll be quick. So I'm a doctoral student in a transformative studies program you are familiar with at the California Institute of Integral Studies. And I have a wonderful cohort of colleagues, and we're all working from our own little corner, trying to create change and transformation. And so I wanted to know what you would say to us. We're all right now, taking literature reviews and methods comps and wanting to make to zero in on what will really make a difference. And I know there's other scholars in the space here. What would you say to us, in terms of how to make the biggest impact? And there's so many big issues and problems, and the environment is so huge, and some of us are working on trauma, and I'm working on stigma and neurodivergence, et cetera. So just your guidance on how to be the most effective scholars, and if there is a framework that you're encouraging us to move towards, or methodologies you've seen as most effective. We're so hungry and open to your guidance.
Yeah. What I heard is, and I recognize it because I heard from myself a hell of a lot, is that it's not enough. We're not enough. That's what I'm hearing. Here you've got these people in this wonderful program. I happen to know it and love it, and you've got each other, and I hope you're loving each other. I'm sure you are, finding that happening. So let's practice enough. As in a consumer society, we are trained in things never being enough, and we don't look right. We don't drive the best car. We're not sure whether we have sweet breath or not. This feeling of self-loathing and self-insufficiency has been one of the cruelest gifts of capitalism, and almost as bad as envy. And I find the Buddha Dharma so wonderful in that, particularly the four immeasurables. Metta, mudita, karuna, upekkha, and just to find ways to practice that, inventive ways, turn your mind to it. We use it a lot in the work that reconnects. If you take a look at the coming back to life, it's to have that little voice come up, and it comes up in me all the time, let me tell you. So I know about it. Sometimes it's as if I've thought of it, it can't be very good, you know? There is, and I remember this coming up with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. First time he talked with Buddhist teachers in America, American teachers, they asked him this: we're finding self-loathing and self-hatred in our students. He was mystified. He'd never heard that in his whole life, and then in his whole experience, in his own culture. That was maybe something that made the Tibetan refugees so winsome to me. Although they suffered, they didn't hate themselves. And just to see how silly that is. Oh, but then the next year, His Holiness had another group, and he said, "You're right, I found it. It's in the West. I've met people who don't like themselves." And you can get pretty far as a Buddhist practitioner and still have that. Because it makes you know, well, maybe it's keeping me humble. I think we're all in suffering from, I mean, honey, we've had 5 centuries of hyper-individualism, focusing on self and advantage for the self. It's a wonder we're not nuttier than we are. And the great news is that this is beginning to fall away. Maybe just a week of self-praise. That'll be one of my practices this week, you can think. Good for you.
Thank you, because my work is very much about transitioning or transforming from self-doubt, self-distrust, and self-mistrust toward self-compassion with a group of people who are highly stigmatized, which is adults with ADHD and other marginalized groups. So we got to heal all of it, I know, but I so appreciate that, because that's what I'm working on in myself. To turn that inner conversation around. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. And thank you so much, Joanna, for being with us this week and this day. And just what a way to start our series. And just the emphasis on gratitude and love. I'm just basking in that and appreciating that. And just thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a blessing to be with you. And along with what you were just saying about letting things be enough, or I was saying about letting things be enough and being grateful, is this uncertainty. There's a gift, such a gift to living in times of uncertainty and practicing uncertainty. That it's for one thing, it frees us. It really frees us from the consumer society, and to allow uncertainty, and then to remember its blessings. That everything that is powerful and beautiful almost is uncertain. When you fall in love, you're uncertain if the relationship will develop. If you get pregnant, is full of uncertainties. Will you have a healthy baby? When you plant a garden, oh, will you have enough rain? Or will it be devoured by locusts or what have you? Everything is can be assailed with thoughts of, will this be enough? So you can think uncertainty, you can start making lists of the wonders of uncertainty. Because if you're uncertainty is when gives you the moment. That's the main thing. It gives you a moment where you dare, standing there not knowing or having plans for or needs for the next minute. It can be that moment. Maybe it's like what that pause before what Ty says anything. You just pause and you don't know what in hell is going to happen or anything. That here is the wonder. You're like at the dawn of creation. Wow, what is going to be? What is this? And because only in the moment can you be here. And only in the moment can you be in the now. And only in the moment can you see the sun is risen. It's risen in the time we've talked. And maybe it's hitting the wall behind my laptop, and you might see, maybe you can see a little of the light in my face. This sun is rising. This day has never been before. This January 30. And I'm in it, and we've been with each other. Look what we've done. Look what we did. We got us together. And we kind of fall in love with life itself and with each other.
I love that.
I want to thank everybody for inviting me. Oh, everyone, all of you, from Hildor to Lama Willa, thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Thank you. And you know the work that reconnects begins with gratitude. And I'm ending with so much gratitude, just gratitude, gratitude. Thank you. And we're going to end with just a brief, put up the picture of Thich Nhat Hanh, just so you can see him. There we go. For a moment, just take a moment and get that transmission from him. He passed away just a few days ago. And thank you. Thank you. And then we're going to move to our dedication prayer that we say at the end. Just a prayer of bodhicitta and the attitude of gratitude and the attitude of wishing to pay forward what it is that we have experienced together for the benefit of all. May this gathering here be like a stone thrown in the water. May those ripples go out and benefit all beings. So if we could bring up that dedication prayer, we can chant it together as the conclusion of our time. Thank you. Actually, okay, that's all right. We'll do this one. Or the bodhicitta one in the future, but this is great. This is great. If you have it, if not, it's all right. We can do this one. We can do this one. Yeah, it's okay. Oh, there we go. We'll do it together in English. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta, compassion, dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are fully illumined and awakened. May it be so, may it be so, may it be so. Thank you.